should they choose anthropology as optional? What is the syllabus and what are the trends? How one should prepare? What sources you should be referring? First, why anthropology as optional? What is the syllabus? What is the trend that you are noticing today with respect to the UPSC? What approach you should take and what sources you have to refer? First of all, you can see in 2024, Anthro top scorer Abhishek Singh has been part of Anthro 555 Foundation, and then you have Akash who scored 291. Here again 146 and 145, and this is the third highest. So whether you have the interest or not, and if I have to say with respect to anthropology, if it is taught properly, it is so interesting. Everything that you are doing on daily basis is connected to the syllabus. Interest alone cannot become the component for choosing the optional. Second thing, you should have right resource available easily. The previous year questions are from the resources. Whatever you are reading are the questions from the same areas. Say today we have jaw. The jaw size is very small. In the past, your jaw size was very large. If you look at the ancestors of human, and she tried to observe that how chimpanzees change over time. Do they have wars like us? Who is our ancestor? Where are we? Who went from the particular stage and who got diverged from this, and where are they currently? Because twins are mostly similar, then mostly it should be because of genetics. But if both of them are behaving differently, then it is because of environment. Hello everyone, welcome to Shiva Teja Sir. Myself Shiva Teja, faculty for anthropology. So this session is regarding anthropology orientation. Those who are preparing for 2026. So many of the students might be having the doubt regarding whether should they choose anthropology as optional, what is the syllabus, and what are the trends, how one should prepare, what sources you should be referring. So all these doubts I am going to address through this session, and please keep watching till the end. Lot of things that are going to be helpful for you are going to be discussed. So Anthro 555 Foundation, what all things that are going to include? Why anthropology as an optional? So we are going to discuss all these things in this session. So first, why anthropology as an optional? What is the syllabus? And what is the trend that you are noticing today with respect to the UPSC? Because you might have seen the buzz that anthropology paper is little difficult this year. Is it difficult? And the scores went down according to some people. But by the end you will understand, really did they go, really did they dip or not? You will understand it. And next, what approach you should take and what sources you have to refer. So these all things I am going to discuss. First of all, you can see in 2024, Anthro top scorer Abhishek Singh has been part of Anthro 555 Foundation. He has been part of test series crash course. So you can see his scores in paper 2 it is 156 and in paper 1 it is 142, right? Overall 298 was his score, and then you have Akash who scored 291, here again 146 and 145, and this is the third highest. Okay, so first highest and third highest are from the same. So overall, if you observe with respect to other optionals, how are you going to say whether optional is good or not? You are going to observe one basic things. First, interest. Right? So whether you have the interest or not. And if I have to say with respect to anthropology, if it is taught properly, it is so interesting. Everything that you are doing on daily basis is connected to the syllabus. First thing. So as interest, anybody can develop interest in anthropology. Only thing is that you should be taught in right way, or you should be reading the right books. Automatically interest will develop. And somebody who is not interested, then this cannot be their subject. But interest wise, I don't think. Myself being civil engineering background, and Abhishek is from civil engineering, and you take any other people, these all people are from engineering backgrounds. But still, despite being from non-humanities, still they could perform well. And if I am able to teach being from civil engineering background, that means it's not that difficult to learn if you are not from the humanities background. So that one thing I can make it clear. So interest can be developed, and You can check if you are interested, then you have to go for it. And second thing, interest alone cannot become the component for choosing the optional. Second thing, you should have right resource available easily. Are the resources available? Then you should check whether the previous year questions are from the resources. Okay, whatever you are reading, are the questions from the same areas or different? So you can notice there is high possibility of repetitions of questions of previous years at the same time from the topics you have read. And next, along with this, you need to know the score. So is it possible to score well in the given option? So these are the four things that you have to consider. First, whether you have interest. If you didn't know about anthropology, then go through, and according to me, interest can be developed. If at all, if you are not feeling connected, then this is not yours. But 99% of the people get connected with the subject, and it has to be taught in the manner it should. Okay, so then resources, they are available easily. Then you have previous year questions which are repeated from the topics that you read, and the scores are wonderful. I already shown you, right? So if you see this year also, where all the scores of optionals, different optionals, all the optionals scored less than 300. Out of that, if you take anthropology, it performed well again. So compared to all other options, anthro is doing well, right? So these are the areas that you have to look at if you have to choose an optional, and anthro meets all the demands, and henceforth anthro can be one such wonderful optional which you can go for. And you have seen already from Anthro 555 Foundation, Abhishek has got the highest score, and then you have Akash, previous year Benzo, Vineet, and Navya, many other people have scored. So Anthro is doing well, and if you are interested, then you too can, but you have to follow these things. Okay, so first, coming to syllabus is mentioned as unit wise in the paper 1 and paper 2 of UPSC notification, but it is little random. So if you are going to approach, how you are going to approach, and how we deal within 555 Foundation. So here what we are going to do is we are going to divide it into module wise. We have to segregate according to the topic. Then only you will be having link with the previous topic, or else it is going to be abrupt end to a topic, or there is no connection with the topic before and after. So that's why you have to divide it into the module wise. Okay, so if you look at the modules, there are 5 modules within anthropology. So in paper 1 you have unit 1 to unit 12, and you have unit 1 to unit 9 in paper 2. So unit 1 to unit 12 is divided into 2 branches or 2 modules. So physical anthropology 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are the chapters in physical anthropology. Then you have socio-cultural 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are the chapters in socio-culture. And there is 1.8 in paper 1, that is part of archaeology, and there is 1.1 to 1.3 in paper 2, that is also part of archaeology. So archaeology is a separate module. Then you have 2, 3, 4, 5 units which falls under Indian anthropology, where the application of these first paper happens. And at the same time 6, 7, 8, 9 units of paper 2 falls under tribal anthropology. Again same thing, you will study Indian people, but application of the knowledge that you have learned in paper 1. So this is with respect to syllabus and the modules that you have. Now we look at the syllabus bit detail. So we have seen first physical anthropology, then you have 1.4. In 1.4 what you will be learning? How biological factors are influencing cultural factors, and cultural factors are influencing the biological factors in the evolution of human being. Today we are humans. How did we become humans? So there are people who gave theories. Okay, maybe suddenly there was destruction of entire earth and new organisms developed. and that's how humans develop. But there are different theories. Whether it is true, then the next person will come and say, no, no, that's not the way. This is the other reason. That's how humans have developed. So this understanding of evolution of humans you will get through this chapter. Okay, so you'll be knowing that there are different people who put forth different theories to understand, and you'll also understand. See, today we have jaw. The jaw size is very small. In the past, your jaw size was very large. If you look at the ancestors of humans, the jaw size is very large. What is the reason behind it? In the past, there was no fire. Till the time fire was invented, they used to eat food which was very hard. So now, over a period of time, there was less use of the jaw, and that slowly got reduced in size. Today we have small jaw. So fire led to the decrease in the size of the jaw. At the same time, if you look at, there is a need for the thought process, because when people used to go for hunting, they didn't used to find food easily. Now you have to find different paths, different routes. You keep on searching. Then there is stress on your brain. Over a period of time, that increased stress on the brain led to the increase in size of the brain. So cultural factors, which is need for food culture, is leading to the evolution of biological factors. So cultural factors are impacting the biological evolution, and if you see, biological factors are impacting the cultural evolution. Now, how biological factors are impacting the cultural evolution? You can see you have hands, right? So when your hands got developed, when your fingers are opposable means you can touch your thumb to all other fingers. So when they are opposable, you can hold things. When you can hold things, you can create tools, or else in other animals it is not possible to do so. So here in this chapter we are going to see how cultural factors influence biological evolution, how biological factors influence cultural evolution. So that is what they want to understand, and at the same time, so in this process many people have given different theories. So those theories we are going to study. So you can look at, in your schooling you might have read about Darwin's theory of natural selection. Darwin's theory of natural selection. So before Darwin, there are people for many centuries who talked about evolution. Some said that it is because of catastrophe and all the people wiped off once, and then all the organisms are wiped off and new organisms came. And some people said that all the organisms are created by God. So some people said that slowly changes happened and that led to the evolution of man. So different people gave different theories before Darwin without telling what is the reason, and those theories are called as pre-Darwinian theories. Okay, pre-Darwinian theories, which you will be reading. And Darwin talked about natural selection. You know, Darwin went on a voyage from 1831 to 1836. HMS Beagle was the ship in which he went the voyage. So while going through the voyage, he come across multiple islands, and he notices different birds. Okay, the birds of different islands. So when he sees the islands, so he sees that from one island to other island, the birds have some difference, not much, only some difference. In some areas, the beaks were large, in some areas, beaks were small. In some areas, they had green color, some areas, they had different color. So he observed that every island has different habitation, okay, so different environment. Then he says that these birds or these sparrows, he observes sparrows, okay, so these sparrows have evolved different types of beaks and structures because of environment, and environment chooses whatever fits it. So he says that nature will select what is fit for that particular environment, and that natural selection will lead to the creation of species. So this is the Darwin's theory which we will be learning. And after Darwin, then comes the synthetic theory. So in the synthetic theory, they say that, okay, natural selection is acting, but in the process of evolution from one species to other species, right? from evolving to the humans. Okay, if you have to evolve to the stage of humans, there are multiple species in the past. So what could have happened and what led to this evolution? So when they are talking about the evolution, they say that genetics. Okay, so this was in 1859 and 1900s. Mutation concept has come into picture, and then in 1909 or 1920, you notice the human genetics or population genetics evolved as a field, and that field is used by them, and they say that genetic variations are created by mutation. So in the genes, change will happen, and this change is acted by multiple forces. Okay, and these multiple forces will lead to some structure, and this structure, if it is useful, then natural selection will choose, and these people get isolated for long period of time. Suppose there is some mutation in me and I migrate to different place, and after migrating to different place, then there all the people will be there. Among those people, changes will happen, and when the changes happen, these people will remain isolated for long period of time. They don't get in contact with other population. When they get isolated, the changes keep repeated for years and years and generation to generation, and they accumulate and give rise to new species after all. So synthetic theory tries to explain, along with the natural selection, the genetics also involved. So now in this chapter, overall, you are going to understand how the evolution happened, what are the reasons behind it. So these are the things that you have to study when you are looking at this chapter. First, understand how each factor influence each other. Biological influencing cultural, cultural influencing biological, and then study different evolutionary theories before Darwin, Darwin, and then after Darwin, which is also called as neo-Darwinism, and then synthetic theories. So this theory combines natural selection along with the mechanisms of genetic variation to talk about the evolutionary process. So this is what you will study in 1.4. And if at all, if you are trying to go beyond this, what you have is extended evolutionary synthesis. That can be little extra part which you have to focus if you have to cover 1.4 in detail. Okay. Then we have 1.5. In 1.5, we'll be studying primates. What are primates? So why you should call them primates? Who are primates? What are their characteristics? Okay, you know that chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, lemurs, lorises, tortoises. So all these are primates. And how you classify them? We are going to study the taxonomy. Taxonomy means classification. And who are primates? What are their characteristics? What is their social behavior? Or why are we studying primates here? First we need to understand. Anthropology is study of humans, right? Anthropology is study of humans. So that I assume that you all know before choosing anthropology. So anthropology is study of humans. When we have to understand humans, how we have evolved, we should understand our ancestors. So we are trying to study the primates and find out the relationship. Okay. So primates, do they have marriage? Do they have family? Do they behave like us? So do they have wife and husband relationship between them? Do they maintain the groups? Do they transfer the information from one generation to other generation? Okay, so you might be noticing that chimpanzees playing video games, orangutans washing clothes, right? So these all things you might have observed. Now the scientists are conducting experiment. Okay, so you might have observed Jane Goodall, who is very famous, not just in anthropology but in various news as well. Okay, Jane Goodall, she is a famous primatologist. What she has done, she went to Gombe National Park in Tanzania. There she spent all her life in understanding the behavior of chimpanzees. And she tried to observe that how chimpanzees change over time. Do they have wars like us? You can watch a video in YouTube that chimpanzees do behave violently. They do have wars. You can see the war of chimpanzees in YouTube. She has documented it. So in this chapter, we are going to understand what is the taxonomy. Okay, where did they come from? How to classify different primates, and what is their lineage. Okay, so where did it start and how did it evolve, and then we'll see its characteristics, then we'll see its behavior. Okay, how the social behavior it is there and how the ecological behavior is there. So we are going to understand the primate behavior. How are they going to behave with the outsiders and within themselves, within the groups, right? So these all things we are going to understand. Then we are going to see the anatomy. Anatomy means the bodily structure. Okay, so how this anatomy is different from human. We are going to compare it. We are going to compare gorilla and man. We are going to compare chimpanzee and man. We are going to compare orangutan and man. How are they different? Hair color, hair texture, skin color, skin texture, and other parts of the body. Okay, so how the vertebral column is present, how the pelvis is present, how the femur, the parts of the body, legs, hands, how is it different? In what way they are different? And what is the reason behind this difference? Okay, so in the past, it was C shape. If you see vertebral column that we have is S shape. Okay, whereas in the primates, you have C shape. What is the reason for them being in C shape and what is the reason for us being in S shape? Why did it change from here to here and what are the reasons? And if at all it has changed, what is the benefit and what is the disadvantage? So these all things we are going to study in the characteristics of primates 1.5 chapter. Right? So these all comparisons you should understand, and from here we are going to understand from quadrupedal to bipedal. So we have changed from, sorry, in the past we used to walk on the four limbs, now we have changed to bipedal. So if we have become bipedal, lot of changes have happened with respect to structure of our body. So skeletal changes that have happened due to this bipedal structure, bipedal the walking of humans, we are going to understand in this chapter. So this is going to be very interesting. If you are reading it just like a fact, then you are not going to enjoy the subject. But if you are going to understand why it has happened, what changes it has created, why do we have back pain today? So many people keep on saying that we have back pain. What is the reason? It is evolutionary change that has happened, and the vertebral column, which is in a different shape, will obviously result in back pain. You need to understand that this vertebral column, its shape itself, will result in the back pain. So you need to understand as a human how you have evolved, what changes you have got, and because of these changes, what are the repercussions that you have in your daily life. And you can also enjoy that when you watch a particular animal or a primate, you get to know why it is behaving in so and so way and why you are not. So this is what you are going to study in 1.5. And then you have 1.6, phylogenetic status of hominids. Now you know, like when archaeologists keep digging the areas of habitations, they come across fossils. Now they come across different fossils. Now how to identify which fossil has come earlier and how to identify which fossil has come later, that we learn in archaeology. But after identifying, we tend to understand who is the immediate ancestor of humans. So we are Homo sapiens sapiens. We are Homo sapiens sapiens. And our ancestors, immediate ancestors, are Homo sapiens. And before that, there were Homo neanderthals. Then you have Homo erectus. Then you have Homo habilis. And then you have Australopithecus. So Australopithecus is considered as earliest most species which has connection with the apes, great apes. So the earliest connection to the apes was thought to be Australopithecus. Pithecus means ape, and Oslo means ape. Oslo means south, ape of the south. So this was considered to be the last connection link between the humans and apes. So this we are going to study, and we are going to understand what is the connection link, how did the change happen, and how are we different from all these fossils. Now, while changing from one stage to another, while evolving from one stage to another, you will change both biologically, culturally. Then we are going to understand the time period, at what time period we are at what stage, and what changes happened biologically, culturally. We are going to know who is the direct link to us and who deviated. So we are going to understand all these things. So especially in our syllabus, they have mentioned Homo erectus, Neanderthal man, Homo habilis, Australopithecus, and they also mentioned the Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens sapiens. So these are all the fossils that you come across and the findings of hominids. Hominids means becoming human, right? So we are going to understand what led to the formation of modern sapiens or Homo sapiens sapiens. So the changes physically, the physical characters and cultural characters. So did they practice? We say that they are our ancestors. Did they practice religion? Did they have political organization? Did they had society? So we are going to understand how the things have changed over a period of time. So that's what is discussed as a part of 1.6. We are going to find out our tree. Who is our ancestor? Where are we? What is, who went from the particular stage and who got diverged from this, and where are they currently? So these all things we are going to study in brief. We are not going to study in detail because this is a matter of subjectivity. You cannot tell directly they are our ancestors. Based on some facts, we will say these could be our ancestors. Okay, I'll be giving you a website where the latest updates will be given on daily basis. So the research that is going will be updated on daily basis. There you can understand what is the current status also. But there are many questions which are unanswered. Many questions which are unanswered. So that will make us understand. Still, we did not come to a conclusion who is our real ancestor at what point of time. Only we are in the learning process. So, whatever has been found, we'll study them, but that doesn't mean that we have come to a conclusion. These are our direct ancestors, and there is nobody in between. New findings keep coming, and we'll also be studying, so you have to be updated with it. So, just you have to follow what are the things, because this year they can ask the UPSC. It's always surprising for UPSC paper to see. Right? Every year they'll ask something which you may not know, but that is happening within the discipline which you should be following. So there is Homo florensis, Homo naledi. These things also you should be following, but they are not mentioned as a part of the syllabus. They should be discussed as a part of the class. So if you are doing on your own, then I would suggest that read other two fossils also, Homo florensis and Homo naledi. So this is with respect to 1.6. And then you have 1.7, which deals with the biological basis of life. That means cell, what is its structure, what are its parts, and then you will be reading about DNA, what is gene, what is chromosome, and how the proteins are produced, what are the processes that are involved in the creation of these proteins, transcription, translation in the protein synthesis. Then how the division of cells happen. You will be seeing the mitosis, meiosis, and then you will also be understanding the different phases in the cell division. So this is part of 1.7. So basics you will be studying, and you will be understanding it from the scratch. You don't need to have any background. You don't need to have any background to study anthropology. Everything is studied from the scratch. You are taught from the zero. So anybody being from any background, you can do anthropology optional, and we have done it, and if we have done it, you can also do it. Then 9.1 human genetics. Here we are going to study different methods of studying human genetics. See, you are inheriting something. Suppose intelligence. we'll say that the person is like their mom or dad, right? So we talk about intelligence. But this intelligence, is it from their mom or dad alone or the environment? Is it because of nurturing of the child or is it because of the nature that they have got from their parents? So these things we are going to understand whether the genetics is influenced by nature alone or it is influenced by environment also. So this debate we are going to understand. We are going to see the different methods. Twin studies. Twin studies means you will take twins and you look at them and you will try to understand how the genetics are connected, how the environment is influencing. Because twins are mostly similar, then mostly it should be because of genetics, right? But if both of them are behaving differently, then it is because of environment. So in this manner, we have different methods to study genetics. And family study methods, you'll try to see if some problem has happened in gene, then you'll try to understand how it is going from one generation to another generation. Is everybody getting this genetic disorder or only few people? And if only few people, then what you'll do, you'll draw the family tree. You'll draw the family tree and from here you'll understand the pattern. So this we call as pedigree analysis. So you have different methods of family study, pedigree analysis, and you have twin studies. So from this you'll get to know that what is influencing the genes. So in this chapter, we are going to understand the basics to know whether the gene or the genetic material is influenced by nature or nurture. And again, you need to understand here more than biology, you have to study anthropology. What is anthropology here? Now, in anthropology, we are not going to see the genetic mechanism alone. We are going to see how the culture is influencing this. Suppose there is a problem, there is a genetic disorder, then how to treat them in the society, how to behave with them, how to welcome them, because you cannot stop genetic disorder. Now, anthropologists will work and will give you the mechanism how the curriculum in the education has to be, because there has been studies that have been conducted in India and that has been conducted in Scandinavian countries. And in Scandinavian countries, they are very welcoming to these genetic disorders. But within our culture, in Indian culture, what happens is that there is some belief that is attached, some superstitious beliefs that is attached. And because of that, people are not so welcoming to these genetic disorder people. And now that prejudice or stereotype is stopping you from making them feel inclusive. So those things you have to mention as a part of the syllabus. Okay, so you have to put the cultural perspective that you are studying as a part of socio-cultural module, and you have to write the evolutionary perspective also here, because how it is helping the person evolve over a period of time. Okay, so those perspectives you have to include, and how these methods, how these techniques are helping us understand this cultural evolution and biological evolution of humans in this chapter. Okay, so don't just read biology, try to make it anthropological, then your answers will shoot, your marks is going to shoot for your answers. Now, this is 9.1, you will study different methods. Then you have 9.2, where you will be studying whether a particular trait, suppose you have eye color. This eye color is because of one gene or is it because of multiple genes? If it is of one gene, then it is single factor, and if it is of multiple genes, then it is complex inheritance or multifactor. So it can be combination of multiple genes, then multifactor. If it is of single gene, then it is single factor. Multifactor. So multifactor, again, you need to understand, factor means it can be because of genetics, it can be because of environment. So when we talk about single factor, environment cannot play a role alone. Only when the genetics is there, then environment can influence. That's why when we say single factor, then we also talk about single gene. because single without gene there can be no environment. But when it comes to multi-factor, it can be first genetics alone because of multiple genes, that is called as polygene or polygenic inheritance. When multiple genes are influencing, poly means many, genic means genes. When multiple genes are influencing a trait, that is called as polygenic inheritance, and that is called as complex inheritance as well. But here you need to focus one more thing. When both, even if there is only one gene, but it is getting influenced by environment also, then in that case also we are going to call this multi-factor inheritance. Need not be multiple genes always, one gene, but along with environment, then there are two factors, that's why we call it as multi-factor. Or else there are multiple genes, then we call as polygenic. So if single gene is influencing a trait, then that is normal inheritance. If there are multiple genes that are influencing a trait, then that is called as complex inheritance. And these we are going to see in which traits it is single, in which traits it is complex, and what are the different methods. All these things we are going to study as a part of Mendelian genetics in man. So after 9.2 you have 9.3. So here you are going to see the changes with respect to genes. Now in our population we have some type of genes. In the next, whether they are going to have same number of genes and same type or not. If they are going to have same type, why they are going to have? If they are not going to have same type, what is the reason? So these all things we will be studying through various things that are mentioned as a part of the syllabus. So you have Hardy-Weinberg law, which is mathematics. So Hardy-Weinberg, so Hardy is a different person, Weinberg is a different person, they are mathematicians. They have given a formula whether the genes of a population are going to remain constant in the next generation or not. If they are remaining, then what should happen? If they are not remaining the same, then because of what reasons the change is happening, we are going to understand here. So you need to understand that there are very small concepts that you have to understand, and then you have to talk it from culture and evolutionary perspective to make it anthropological. So biology is very less. You are going to study more of anthropology. Then you have chromosomes, different chromosomes. We have 46 chromosomes in humans, and while transferring this to next generation, there can be changes. So number of chromosomes can vary. 46 may become 45, 44, or sometimes a part of chromosomes can break. So then because of these changes, what happens? So we are going to study, and we are going to notice whether these kind of changes are present in primates also, and how are we related, which chromosome of humans is related to which chromosome of primates, and if at all if it is related, then what kind of syndromes you notice there. So you have to relate these things to other parts of the syllabus and make it interlinked, then only your answers become better. So what we are going to study here is the aberrations with respect to chromosomes, structural aberrations. That means if this is chromosome, if a part of it is deleted or removed, then that is called a structural aberration. But if a number of chromosomes, you have 46, but now if it becomes 45, in humans you have 46, if it becomes 45, then this is numerical chromosomal aberrations. So we all know that we have 46 chromosomes, 23 from mother, 23 from father. So you have 22 autosomal chromosomes and one sex chromosome. From father also, from mother and father, both 22 autosomal and one sex chromosome. So if in these 22 either structural aberration or numerical aberration is happening, then we call it as autosomal chromosomal aberration. So those are called as autosomal aberrations. And if it is happening with respect to sex chromosome, then we call it as sex chromosomal aberration. And we are going to study what are the different types of aberrations that are possible within 9.4. Okay, so different aberrations, what are the reasons, and how you can connect it to cultural aspect of the society, and what is happening because of chromosomal aberrations, how we can control it, what are the treatments, medication, diagnosis, what are the new technologies that are developing. All these things you are going to study as part of 9.4. And this chapter is very interesting because you see Edward syndrome, Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, which you observe in real life, but you don't know why these syndromes are happening. You might be noticing some people in your real life. Okay, so some people with autism, and these are different genetic disorders that are possible, and what are the reasons behind it, what can be done culturally, and how it impacts evolutionally. Okay, so as a part of evolution, how it's going to impact. All these things we are going to study as a part of 9.4. And then you have race and racism. Here you will be talking about how the race is classified, whether race is social or race is biological, what is the debate between it, and should we use the term race still, and what are the views of various anthropologists, and what are the views of UN, is there any convention to prevent this usage of race, and what are the consequences of usage of race, and you will be learning all those aspects in this part, and you will be coming up with a solution what can be done in order to prevent racism. So how racism was promoted in the past, and what can be done to prevent the racism. And in 9.6 you will be understanding how age, sex and population variation is present. Okay, so what changes you notice in different parts of the body with respect to age and with respect to sex. And if you look at the genetic markers, see, genetic markers are nothing but, you know, landmark, right? Landmark is something which tells you what is the position. In the same manner, you have chromosome, genetic material within your body. Genetic marker means you talk about the marker, where is it present. So here it is landmark, here it is genetic marker. Because you know the position, here also you know the position. So based on position, you will tell so and so gene is present at, and what are its variation at this position, what is happening. Okay, so what are the different types that are present at this particular location, and what happens because of variation. So we have different types of blood groups, A blood group, B blood group, O blood group. Why can't we share the blood to all the people, or why can't we receive? Okay, why can't we give and receive? What is the reason? And always it is not biological. Try to understand, I am emphasizing again and again, it is not biology, it is anthropology. Why blood groups should not be seen as just biological? Because if you see in Japan, there is a practice known as Ketsuki Gata. What does this mean? You know, like we follow horoscope, right? Horoscope for marriage purposes, for engaging with any other purpose. You look at the horoscope, right? You have 12 horoscopes. People tend to match it, and then they go for the marriage, right? The horoscope is looked into. In the similar manner, in the Japan, while practicing, they use blood groups. To choose people, they use blood groups. They consider some blood groups to be lucky, some blood groups to be unlucky, and they choose based on blood groups. So blood groups are not just biological, they are in practice in society in terms of cultural aspect also. So we have to understand the socio-cultural aspect of the blood groups as well, and the evolutionary aspect of it. Then only the answer becomes holistic and you are addressing it. So don't treat it as biology. Biology, you will understand. It is very simple. We'll explain you everything from the scratch, but it is more of anthropology. Try to understand that. Then you have 9.7. In the 9.7, you will be learning adaptations. See, we believe that we humans have come from Africa, the savanna area, hot area, right? So in the tropical climates. But now you see people residing in the cold areas also. You see people residing in the highlands. Now what happens when you go there? What changes you notice? What are the characteristics of them? And how we become normal? How we should be trained? So suppose you see in America, they train the sports people on highlands. Why do they train them on highlands? Now when you go to highland, your oxygen intake will reduce. Your oxygen intake will reduce. And as you go, because oxygen outside is very less. But what happened? Because you should survive, you'll start taking the breath in large amount. So that increases your vital capacity. So to intake air. Now, if you are there for long period of time, you will adjust to it and you will start taking more oxygen. And you will be trained on the highland for long period of time just before the sports event you are brought here. So now you have more capacity to observe oxygen and which will help in better respiration and you can perform better. So how the adaptations happens biologically, culturally. So if you are going onto a highland, what will happen? Or if you are going to a cold place, you will be eating something, you will be eating something which will produce heat. You will have hot drinks. You will be wearing the woolen clothes. So you are culturally adapting. At the same time, your body is also adapting. What changes will come in your body? So you are going to learn different biocultural adaptation, environmental stresses. So when you go there, what stress you are coming across? If you go to island, your oxygen is less. Okay, that will cause nausea. Okay, and your body will respond to it accordingly. So you are going to study these things in 9.7. And then coming to 9.8. See, I am explaining physical anthropology in detail so that students who are thinking to choose anthropology as optional, they can understand that biology is very less. It is more of anthropology. Anybody can do it if it is taught in right manner. Okay, so here you are going to study different diseases, and diseases are not just biological. You can see during the COVID-19, it is the behavior of the people that determine the disease. Okay, so whether the disease will spread or not, it is the behavior of the people that determine. So anthropology tries to use the epidemiology and try to understand how the environment interacts with the humans and the pathogen. So these three interactions it is going to observe and find out a solution. If there is a socio-cultural problem that could lead to the increase in disease or spread of the disease, that can be dealt from here. And we are going to study nutritional diseases, infectious diseases, non-infectious diseases, because you need to understand there is role of economy, political organization, society, because how can a treatment be given to a disease without the support or without the political decisions? And many a times these all things are integrated. If you have to remove a disease or if you want to eradicate a disease, it is a combination of multiple institutions and not just biology alone. So when you are trying to understand disease, try to understand social concept of disease. Socially, for all the people it is not so. For us it might be fever, but for other people it might be witchcraft. Okay, if you go to tribes, they don't see it same way. They think that it is because of witchcraft you are behaving in so and so manner. So we are going to understand disease in a holistic way and what can be done to remove it and how the diseases have evolved. So in anthropology, we are going to study evolution, right? So here we are going to study how the diseases have evolved over a period of time. And in the 10th unit, we are going to study about ourselves, how the growth happens. In this growth, how the growth happens, and in this process of growth, what changes you notice, and you will also be studying what are the factors, okay, in the process of growth, what are the biological factors, what are the environmental factors that are influencing the growth, right? And in the 11th unit, you have fertility, menarche, and menopause. You know menarche and menopause, right? So menopause means that stops the reproductive cycle of the woman. That is the stage. And menarche is the stage where the first menstruation happens, right? So that is the reproductive window. Between menarche and menopause is the reproductive window of a woman. So we are going to study how is it seen socially. See, biologically, we know it very well. Menstrual cycle, how it happens. These all things we'll know it. But along with that, how people are treating. In some areas, They are treating it as a pure. In some areas, it is treated as impure. In some areas, they don't bother. Okay, so how is it treated, and how different cultures are going to look at menarche, how different cultures are looking at menopause, and what are the factors that are playing important role in menarche and menopause, right? How the menstruation happens, what are the reasons, why these days the people are getting the menstruation or the menstrual cycle at early age, and in some areas why at late age, what are the reasons behind it, if at all there is a trend. Previously, the menstrual cycle used to happen late in the girls, but what is happening these days? They are getting it early. So, what is the reason? The reason behind this, and we are going to understand how they treat culturally. In one society, they look at it differently. In the other societies, they are going to look at it differently. These all things we are going to study as a part of Unit 11. Okay, and then you have 11.2 demographic theories. I think this you read in your general studies also, but for the growth of a population, different theories have been given. So how the growth happens and the change in the trends of the growth of population. So these theories we are going to learn: social theories, biological theories, and cultural theories. So you have various scholars, and those names you are going to learn as part of it. Then what are the factors influencing the population dynamics? So this is very simple, which you will be learning again. And 12th unit, whatever you learn in 9th, 10th, and 11th, and whatever you have learned in 1.5, 1.4, all those things you will apply in real life, and that is nothing but applications of physical anthropology, right? So in sports, who should be chosen for what sport? Is it the gene alone that is influencing? Okay, so should you be just seeing the performance, or should you be seeing the biological aspect also? Some genes enable the people to perform better. So anthropologists tend to observe which people have that particular gene, and they are trained for it, and that can lead to better performance. And nutritional anthropology helps us understanding how to go about nutrition. So we'll be understanding wasting, stunting, and obesity, and what are the problems behind it. The reasons are not just seen from biological angle; it is seen from holistic angle. What economic reasons, social reasons, political reasons, and they try to give an integrated solution to it, so that the nutritional problem can be dealt. And today, if I am standing in this way and dealing with this board, because the board is placed at a particular position and designed in a particular size, this is because of the ergonomical design. The ergonomical design means that should be fitting all the humans. It should be able to deal with all sizes of the humans, all shapes of the humans. So they are going to find what is the right average, so that a tall person can use it, a short person can use it, and a medium person can use it. So they are going to see what should be the least height, so that everybody can use. So these all things are designed based on the measurements and the ergonomical observations made by the anthropologists. And your chair design and your environmental design. If you see pilots, the pilots had the cockpit design. At the same time, you see gun turret design, and what dress you have to wear within the gun turret. So, or flying space, if people have to go to space, their measurements are taken in such a way, so that whatever the design that is made, it's suited to all the people of those measurements. What you can understand here is that anthropology is applied at different parts of life, and we are going to see that different applications in different areas. Now, if you want to identify a thief, so then you need forensic anthropologists who can understand whether they are related. Because sometimes you see bodies being crushed under some of the machines, so you don't know who is that person. How can you identify them? So in that case, physical anthropologists come and play an important role. The forensic anthropologists, they tend to identify through their techniques whether they are man, woman, what is their age. Okay, so they tend to identify using the genetics, DNA analysis also. So the role of anthropology is immense, and we study the applications here in 12th unit.